Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Burnt Pancakes podcast. I'm your host, Katie Fensky, and I'm on a mission to remind moms that everyone burns their first pancake. Now, it's the new year, and if one of your goals for 2026 is to finally potty train your toddler, I've got you. As a mom and potty training consultant for over 3 years, I have helped thousands of parents with potty training, and I know this is the year you're going to get it done. If you need any help, I offer one-on-one consultations. I have a digital course that walks you through the entire process of potty training straight from the comfort of your own home. And I have an ebook. If you are interested in any of these potty training resources, make sure to check out the link below because this is the year to say goodbye to diapers. Now, back to the podcast. Today, I am chatting with someone who has walked one of the hardest, most emotional journeys so many women quietly face, and that is trying to conceive when your body just isn't cooperating. Katie Wood is an integrative fertility coach, former pharmacist, and a mom whose entire career shifted after months of feeling dismissed by traditional healthcare. Her story takes her from frustration at her OB-GYN's office to discovering acupuncture, to choosing a home birth, and now helping women heal their bodies and their energy so that they can conceive naturally. She blends Western training, holistic nutrition, traditional Chinese medicine, and deep energetic work to support women in a way the healthcare system just doesn't offer. If you've ever felt unsupported, confused, or like something in your body just wasn't being heard, this is the conversation you need. Katie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Katie. Thank you so much for having me.
I was saying it's so exciting meeting another Katie. I almost
Yeah,
never meet them. Okay, before we get into infertility and everything you do, can you just give us a little introduction? Where are you from? How many kids you have?
sure. So I live in New York. I was born and raised in upstate New York. Now I'm kind of more towards the southern tier, so like the Ithaca, Binghamton area. I have two kids. Well, technically three. I have a 19-year-old stepson, and then I have personally given birth to two children. My daughter, Olivia, who is 6.5, and then I just had my son, Charlie, who will be
Mm,
3 weeks old tomorrow.
congratulations. Oh, those little
Thank
sweet
you.
newborn times.
Yes.
Okay, so infertility and trying to conceive. Tell us a little bit about your story with that.
Sure. So, just to kind of give a little bit about my background. So, I graduated from pharmacy school in 2013. So, I've been a pharmacist since then. Originally, I was working in retail pharmacy. So, long shifts, 12-hour shifts on my feet all day. We didn't have a lunch break for the first at least few years
Oh
of me
my
being a
gosh.
pharmacist. So, like, just a very stressful situation. Coming out of college, I definitely like to party. There were late nights studying. I was on birth control. So just lots of things kind of coming at me that now that I'm like older and more aware and I've done a lot more of my own research, it's like, wow, of course, I was so nutrient depleted and just so much stress and things like that. Um, so let's see, it was 2017. So I was 28 when my husband and I decided we were going to start trying to have our first child together. And I was coming off of 13 consecutive years of birth control, which I know so many of us, I feel like,
Mhm.
especially 20, 30 years ago, that's really when birth control started to just be like given out as like
Right.
candy for this symptom or that symptom. And I think it really still is, sadly, but I think that luckily with social media, there's a lot more education around it these days. But of course, you have to surround yourself around that education to know. But we struggled to get pregnant. And I had consulted with my OB-GYN prior to us starting. I let her know we want to start trying towards the end of the year. Like, is there anything I can do to prep my body? And I think she recommended I start taking a prenatal. And she basically said, you can stop your birth control in the same month that you start trying. Now, for anyone who's listening, I do not recommend doing that.
I feel
For,
like that's the advice I had heard.
yeah.
And they
Hmm.
say there's a high chance of getting pregnant right when you go off.
When you go off of
That's what
it,
I
sure.
heard. Mm-hmm.
So I don't recommend doing that. And I'm just going to insert this here quickly
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, I was on it for almost half of my life at that point, and I really didn't know what my cycles looked like because
Right.
essentially my cycles were being influenced by synthetic hormones. They weren't true periods, they're just withdrawal bleeds from the hormones. And there's a lot of misconceptions around that. And then, birth control can decrease the size of your ovaries, it can affect your gut health, it can impact a lot of nutrients.
Wow.
And the nutrients, ironically, that birth control can impact are super important for fertility and for pregnancy, like thinking all of your B vitamins, magnesium, folate, just so many things. So that was actually really terrible advice. And I think as women, we didn't truly learn about our menstrual cycles in fifth grade when they had that
The
health class.
tuck.
I don't know. That's when it happened for
Yep.
me in school, at
Yep.
least. So we really don't understand that there's really only truly 5 to 6 days in a month that you can conceive in your fertile window. And, using an app on your phone doesn't actually tell you when your unique fertile window is. So I kind of just went into this totally blind, even
Mm-hmm.
as a healthcare provider, right? And that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of crazy to me. Even as a pharmacist, they truly didn't teach us the negative impact that birth control can have on fertility. Yes, we did have like a woman's health class, but I honestly still was completely confused and lost when it came to the menstrual cycle. Um, so we struggled to get pregnant. A few months into the journey, I had my annual appointment with my OB-GYN, and I was told pretty much this blanket statement that I think a lot of couples and women are told. It's just, oh, you're healthy, just keep trying. Once you hit that year mark, then we can start looking
That's
into things.
exactly what I was going to say. Try for a year. That's what I
Yeah.
had heard. Try for a year and
Mhm.
then we'll talk
And that
about
can be based off of age. So typically, if you're under 35, they'll say try for a year. If you're over 35, it might be 6 months
it.
or
Okay.
so.
When you're that
And
age, you're like, I don't have that much. I don't have a year,
yeah,
especially if I
and
want to have multiple kids.
sure. Yeah, and why wait a year to take action? I'm not saying like
Mhm.
let's hit the panic. I don't want to hit the panic
Right.
button, but they never offered to run labs. Truly, if they had done a true mind, body, spirit like assessment, they couldn't just look at me and be like, oh, you're
You're
healthy.
healthy.
Just because
Hmm.
my cycles came, they did come back. They were very regular. It was almost like I had never stopped the birth control. But, I don't really know. Was I ovulating? Was I not? I wasn't,
Hmm.
now that I know more, I wasn't tracking in a way to completely and confidently say when I was ovulating and that I was ovulating. So it's the advice that's given is really really, really basic. And it just kind of dismisses, I think, the fertility journey in and of itself. So I was very frustrated that that was all she offered was just keep trying. So of course, having, the pharmacist background, I'm just like diving headfirst into all of these rabbit holes on what can I do to improve
Hmm.
fertility. And that can be a good and a bad thing. I mean, it was
Right.
coming from a very like type A, disempowered masculine type of energy, like um, grasping at straws pretty much. Like I will try
Hmm.
and do anything to improve my fertility. And, there are helpful things that you can find online, but it's not for everyone. There are some things or supplements that might be good for one person, but they're not good for another person. So I just kind of say that as like a side of caution for anyone
Hmm.
who might be going through the same thing is something that could be absolutely helpful for someone else might actually do the reverse of what you're trying to do for yourself,
Interesting.
especially when it
Yeah.
comes to supplements. Because supplements can influence a lot of the I'll just say detox pathways in our body, and it can maybe sway estrogen one way when really you need the complete opposite. So I did a lot of my own research and, I wasn't getting pregnant still. And eventually I came across acupuncture and I was like, hey, I'll give this a
I'll
try.
try
And
anything. Yeah.
exactly. And I was fortunate to find a practitioner who truly cared I was his first fertility client, but he had mentored under someone who helped with fertility previously. So he was really, it was like a learning experience for him as well. And I think just having someone there to listen to you and to offer advice and things that I could try, but at least it had some backing behind it. And he was still tailoring it to myself, my body, my unique needs. That in itself was very healing for me because up
Mhm.
until then, I didn't really have that support. And I think that that's what a lot of women and couples are yearning for, and they're not finding it in their doctor's office. They're not
Yeah.
finding it in their, their reproductive endocrinologist office, whoever they're seeing. So I worked with this practitioner for a few months, and I also actually switched OB-GYN offices to a place that was closer to me. And I started working with the midwives, thinking, oh, they might be more naturally minded, they might offer more advice. And this is not, I'm not saying this about midwives at all, but the midwives I worked with, they did not offer me any more advice. Essentially, they said the same thing, keep trying, and you can book your appointment with the IVF clinic because you're getting to that 1 year mark. And if you wait until you hit the 1 year mark, they might not be able to see you until a few months out. So like book that now.
That
That's the advice that
automatically
I
just puts
gave.
stress on you. Like, are we really going that route? I just need an answer.
Yeah, like just give me something I can work with. Like
Mhm.
at that time, I'm looking at them as the expert
Yeah.
of woman's reproductive health, and I was getting nothing. And even again, so that was maybe 8 or 9 months into our journey, and there was still no offer of labs. Like
Wow.
check my
Yeah.
thyroid,
Uh-huh.
check my reproductive hormones, nothing. And like when I look back at that, it's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
Um, because you can't just look at a woman's cycle and be like, "Yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah.
You're bleeding every 28 days, like you're good to go." You can't do that. That doesn't speak to when you're ovulating, the quality of the ovulation, all of those things. So luckily I was still working with the acupuncturist, and we actually very surprisingly conceived about 10 months into the journey. It was August of
Mhm.
2018. He was in one place, I was in another place. We didn't think it could happen logistically with the fertile window. And and then very early September, I got a positive pregnancy test. So
Oh,
it was just kind of wild. And I don't know if it's because we took the pressure off of ourselves or
part of
what.
it. Yeah. Could have been.
Yeah. So that's kind of the fertility journey in a nutshell with some little tidbits there in
Awesome.
between. But yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about how acupuncture is connected to infertility and like what about the acupuncture do you think helped?
Sure. So I definitely think with acupuncture, they're looking at the body in a whole different way than Western medicine does. So all of us have our own unique constitution, and they would be able to explain it. Like I'm definitely not an expert in TCM or anything like that, but it's just kind of like what are some of our tendencies? So like for me, I would tend to be on the colder side. So I'm in New York, winter months are cold, and then in the summer, at work in the pharmacy, they had the air conditioning on. So like I just feel like that coolness was always surrounding me. So that was something that we worked on, is like, how can we increase heat in my body? So
Interesting.
that could look like wearing socks. If you have warm feet, it's said that you will have a warmer womb space.
Hmm.
Wearing like camisoles underneath my shirts, kind of as like an added layer of warmth around the womb space as well. And then also avoiding raw or uncooked foods. And this was for me, just
Right.
kind of to put that
Unique to
out there
you.
because I
Mhm.
had a colder constitution. So some people can tend to run hot. Like my daughter, she runs hot. She loves the winter. I love the warmth. So like everyone is very unique. But So limiting cold, raw, or uncooked foods. So even he would have me eat raspberries and I would gently warm them on the stove in coconut oil instead of eating them raw.
Right out of the
And one of the reasons I was doing raspberries is to help build my blood back up because from a Chinese medicine standpoint, he felt that the birth control had really kind of had an effect
Mm,
on like the nutrients in my blood and just like the blood flow. There was a lot of stagnation going
okay.
on. So there were things that we focused on with areas that he would put the needles. We would do moxa, which
Oh,
is
I've heard of that.
light mugwort, and you kind of put it near certain areas of the body, and it helps bring warmth to that area. He did some, I think he would call it gua sha. I could be wrong. But like scraping certain areas of the body, and that is to kind of get the blood moving as well. So those were a few of the things that we really focused on is foods to help build my blood and different ways that I could bring warmth to my body. So I think that that just helped get things going because blood flow to your reproductive organs is so important. That's how it gets nutrients and, you know, moves things away that we don't want as well. So I just think all of that combined, I learned a lot about myself, my body as well. And I just think that it is an added layer of support that anybody can do on their fertility journey.
Right. And I like that one, it was tailored to you and it just
Mhm.
gave you practical things that you could do at home. Because, I feel like so many women, when you are trying to conceive, it's like, what's wrong or what am I doing wrong? So it gives you something that you can, like, there's no harm in warming up your raspberries. This is something practical I can try. Because I
Mhm.
know a lot of people probably don't want to just jump into the IVF. Like it's expensive, it's very emotional. So it's like, let's just try these practical things first.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
so what would you say are some of the root causes of infertility? So birth control for you might have been something, um, maybe like the stressors of your life. What are some things that women might be experiencing that could be a cause of infertility?
Yeah, I think there is a wide spectrum of reasons, but looking back on my clients, I would say stress is huge and nutrition. A lot of us think that we're eating healthy, but
Mm-hmm.
we're actually not. We're not eating enough and we're not getting enough protein and healthy fats in our diet. And then maybe for some, like the carbohydrates that they are getting are more processed
Okay.
carbohydrates and not whole food complex carbohydrates. And I think since we live in this very busy modern day society, we're not eating enough. I've had clients who have been struggling for years to get pregnant, and then we will have our first call together. We talk about what does your diet look like? What does your like a typical day look like for you? And it'll be, oh, well, I wake up at this time. I'm rushing out the door
Mm-hmm.
to go drive to
Have a
work.
cup
I'm
of coffee for
drinking my
breakfast.
coffee. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. A cup of coffee for breakfast. And then, maybe at some point around 10 or 11, I'm eating a granola bar or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about this. If you think about it, food is a really big safety cue to our body. It lets us know, hey, we're nourishing ourselves for our own survival, but we are actually in a state of overflow of nutrients and things like that to be able to have a baby. And if you're not giving your body these cues, then of course our body's going to be like, no way could we get pregnant right now. There's not enough coming in. There's not enough raw material coming in to support having a baby. So I've seen so many times with my clients just a few tweaks in the diet, and then they're pregnant in 3 months.
Oh, what are some foods like right now someone could add that could help?
Mm. So this could be more specific depending on their diet,
Okay.
but um, definitely more protein.
Okay.
So I prefer that that is coming from quality animal sources, so grass-fed meat, pasture-raised eggs. Eggs are just a wealth of nutrients.
Hmm.
Avocados are great, a super great source of healthy fats, magnesium, folate, lots of other things too. More protein, more fat down the
Okay.
line. I feel like every woman could benefit from that. And really, I think the biggest shift that someone could make is having breakfast
Mm.
and not just like a little granola bar or a little fruit and a couple of nuts, like 30, minimally 20 grams to 30 grams of protein. And we want healthy fats, probably a little bit lower on the carbohydrate side. And that is going to set off your day in such a positive note. It's going to support your cortisol. It's going to support your blood sugar. It's going to make you feeling full and satisfied well into the morning. So then you're not having that blood sugar crash. You're not reaching for a snack that's
Yeah.
probably not going to be super nourishing for you, like mid morning, because you didn't eat enough in the morning.
Hmm.
And we want to eat before caffeine because caffeine is going to spike your cortisol, spike your blood sugar. It's not giving you any nutrients, it's dehydrating you. So I think protein, fat, and really focusing on breakfast. It would be like the biggest game changers for a lot of
Right.
people.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I remember when we were trying to conceive, I read somewhere that soy is not good for men. Is
Mm.
that true or not? Is that something
I'm
men should
not
avoid?
I'm not a fan of soy
Okay.
um, for a few reasons. One, soy is one of those crops like corn that is typically going to be GMO. It's heavily sprayed with pesticides. So if you are going to have soy anything, you want to make sure that it's non-GMO, that it's organic, just so you're at least sourcing like a higher quality soy.
Hmm.
But soy can impact estrogen. So it kind of depends on where are you? Like, are you someone who is already estrogen dominant? Um, and then for men as well, it kind of depends on the man too. Like, does he already have too much estrogen going on in his body and not enough testosterone? Um, but yeah, it's definitely not something that I would recommend
Hmm.
anyone is having regularly, like
Okay.
in moderation, sure, but not every day or even a few times a week.
Interesting. It's just another one of those things like when you are in this and you so desperately want to get pregnant, you're
Hmm.
researching everything. You're reading every, Facebook group, and it's hard to decipher like what should I listen to and you know, what's too much.
Yeah, and if you're someone who avoids animal products or
Mm,
animal
okay.
proteins and things like that, I believe soy is then like your go-to protein
Mhm.
source for a lot of people. And I just think you have to be careful with that.
Interesting.
Obviously, everything in moderation.
Right, right. Okay, so let's say someone has been trying to conceive for 6 months to a year. Where should they start in getting answers?
That's a great question. So for the woman, I definitely think you want to be tracking your cycles. Our menstrual cycles are like our fifth vital sign. It's our health report card.
Mm.
And so many women are actually relying on apps on their phone.
Okay, yeah.
And the apps, you put in your first day of your period, and it has an algorithm that's like, oh, you'll likely ovulate around cycle day 14, somewhere in that area. But that's just not the case for everybody. So I like apps in terms of gathering information. Usually you can put in any like symptoms that you could be experiencing, like breast tenderness, moodiness, whatever. You can enter in like the type of blood flow that you have, the color, your cervical mucus during your fertile window. And I think that that's all super important. But really, what we want to be doing is minimally tracking your basal body temperature.
Mm.
So that can give us a lot of information. So one, it's not going to tell you when you could be ovulating, but it will confirm that you ovulated. If
Oh,
you
interesting.
have a half to full degree body temperature shift and that's consistent, that means that you ovulated. So
In
you can
that
pinpoint
time frame?
in the, yeah, so you have the follicular phase
Mm-hmm.
and then your ovulation, which is basically like 1 day. And then after you ovulate, you go into the luteal phase. In the luteal phase, as long as you ovulated, your temperature should be
In
a
that
half
phase.
to
Okay.
full degree higher. And if you are someone who has lower temperatures, so like in the 96-degree range, between 96 and 97, you could have thyroid concerns that you want to explore. So it can tell us that. If your temperatures are kind of like up and down, then that can tell us that you probably have some hormone imbalances going on. If it's up and down or like jagged in the luteal phase, we have found that that typically matches up with people or women who have gut issues as well.
Mm.
So tracking your BBT is really, really informative. And then if you want to know what's going on with your hormones, there's a lot of at-home hormone trackers now, like
Really?
Anito or Mira.
Oh, I
Yep,
didn't know
they're
that.
like little urine sticks. They'll tell you your LH, your FSH, your like it. They all kind of track different things, but some form of estrogen, it's going to track a metabolite of progesterone, it will track as well. So that can be super
Oh, that's
insightful.
so
But
interesting.
I'd say minimally, EBT, you want to be looking out for that egg white cervical mucus to see when and if you get that. And that's going to tell you a ton. And then for the men, get a semen analysis. Like, if you want to try for a few months and just see what happens,
Mhm.
sure. But if it's not happening, I would recommend getting that semen analysis sooner than later because it's going to take about 72 to 90 days to improve sperm health.
Wow.
So if you think about that, you're tacking on another three
Mhm.
months. So you might as well get that out of the way. And so many times providers like maybe at the year mark, they'll be like, okay, let's do a semen analysis. Or the men don't even get looked at all, and all the focus is on the women. But I mean, out of most of my clients, it's really both a male and a female issue going on because, I spoke to a little bit about a lot of common factors that are affecting female fertility, but for men, you know, they're having a lot of stress in their life. A
Mhm.
lot of men have sedentary jobs, so that heat can collect in the groin area more, and heat is not good for sperm. Um, Maybe they're not eating very good, or a lot of them aren't taking like any supplements at all. So the nutrients that they need to really support robust, healthy sperm, they're just not there. Or maybe they eat really poorly and they have higher blood sugar. Blood sugar is just gonna really, really damage the DNA and the sperm health. So yeah, fertility is very much a male and a female issue.
But it's so fascinating that there's all these things that can pinpoint what it is. Like I didn't realize like the science behind this. Like, let's look at what you're eating. Let's look at the temperature. I didn't know that all of that could affect it. Um, would you say someone with an irregular menstrual cycle has a harder time getting pregnant, or is that like it could be normal if they're always irregular? Does that make sense?
Mm. It can be harder because when it's irregular, you don't
Can't
know
predict.
when you're ovulating. So that's really when using other devices to at least help you kind of gauge your cycle.
Okay.
Like some people's cycles are just all over the map, like
Mm-hmm.
1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, like it's crazy. So when that's happening, we want to figure out what is going on. Do you have blood sugar issues? Is your testosterone too high or higher than it should be? Like, so a lot of those patterns can pinpoint to PCOS. And it's hard. I mean, there's a certain criteria to get a PCOS diagnosis, and it's hard for people to get that diagnosis. But you could have PCOS like tendencies where your insulin is high, and you're just not eating in a way to support a healthy blood sugar. And honestly, a lot of us think food impacts blood sugar, which it does, but also our sleep and our stress also impact blood sugar. So if you are a super stressed out person, but you're eating healthy, that can send your blood sugar off. If you have really terrible sleep hygiene, that can set your blood sugar off as well. So that's why it's so important to look at all of
All
these
of it.
factors. And that's why when I look back on my journey and they're like, oh, you're healthy, I'm like, how did you know that? Because we didn't
Right.
have this conversation. Or, even if it's on that form that you fill
Hmm.
out before you, like, they're just such surface level questions.
Right.
Like, they're not digging deep enough. Um, so, yeah.
Okay. I have so many questions that came up as you're talking. So let's say someone figures out that their hormones are a little bit off. Is it diet that could get that back on track? Or what would you suggest? And what does like Western medicine suggest if someone's hormones are off?
Hmm. If someone's hormones are off, Western medicine, well, it definitely depends on what is off. Western medicine is going to prescribe you a medication. So let's just say they diagnose you with PCOS. A lot of times they want to put you on birth control, which birth
You're like, no, I'm
control
trying to get pregnant.
going to do absolutely nothing. It gives you the false sense that your cycles are regular, but that's all just from the synthetic hormones.
Okay.
And then as soon as you stop taking the birth control, your cycle is going to come back the same or possibly even worse.
Mm-hmm.
If they find someone has like hypothyroid, they're going to put you on medication, which it is important to treat a hypothyroid because that is going to make it hard to get pregnant. And there's also like an increased miscarriage risk if your thyroid isn't functioning properly. But for me, um, we're going to look at it all. Nutrition is the absolute foundation for sure. And then, like I said, there's sleep, there's stress, um, and sometimes your supplements too. I am doing like a VIP week with a client this week, and she was taking just one of the over-the-counter
Mm-hmm.
prenatals that you can get in the pharmacy. It had like 10 nutrients in it. Not like it had folic acid. Not everyone can tolerate or metabolize folic acid properly. And we looked at her labs and I could see it. It was reflected in her labs that she was not supporting her body with the proper supplement, like prenatal and also nutrition as well.
Interesting. Okay.
So you can even be taking supplements that are actually doing harm
Oh,
because
wow.
if like oh, for whatever reason doctors are still recommending folic acid, which is a synthetic
Mm.
form of folate, and I don't know, it's like 60% of the population has some form of an MTHFR gene mutation, which their body cannot um, basically metabolize the folic acid into the
Wow.
bioavailable form. And if you keep supplementing with this synthetic vitamin, it like almost creates this backup in your system and it can cause inflammation and cause issues. Um,
Interesting. And you
so,
were able to figure that out just from a blood test.
from her blood test, homocysteine is one of the labs that we look at, and just looking at the prenatal, I'm like,
Okay.
this garbage. Don't. So I will say, as a retail pharmacist, now I haven't been in retail pharmacy since 2021, so it could have changed, and it probably depends on where you work. But where I worked, there was really no prenatal that I would ever take myself
Wow.
on the show.
Wow.
So it's hard to then recommend
Hmm.
things like that to other people. And that's really one of the issues I kept coming up against when I was still in retail pharmacy is I wouldn't take this for myself.
Oh,
I
wow.
wouldn't recommend any of these children multivitamins. I
Hmm.
wouldn't give that to my child.
Is
Um,
there a certain brand or like a type that you would recommend?
so is it okay to name drop on
Sure.
here?
Yeah.
Okay. So it might not be. the best for everyone if
Okay.
someone is in, like, if they have certain issues. But for the most part, on a general talking point, I love Fullwell. Fullwell has a line of prenatals for both men and women. They have omegas, they have a fertility booster. And the creator of Fullwell, she is very research driven. She owns a fertility clinic, so she's in it,
It
right? She's
sees it
knee
every
deep
day.
in this.
Mhm.
And I think that the vitamin itself was just very intentionally made,
Okay.
and it hits a lot of notes that other supplements don't.
Hmm.
Um, but depending on the individual, it does have like a higher iodine level in there. So, depending on the individual, it might not be the right one. But for the most part, that's what I am recommending to my clients. For myself, I prefer a more whole food based prenatal. So I was obviously just pregnant. I'm breastfeeding right now and in my postpartum phase. The brand is Birthright, and the name of it is called Bloom. Now, this isn't advice for anyone. This is just what
Right.
I personally took, but it had a whole bunch of things in there like beef liver, fish roe, colostrum. I think maybe like dandelion root, which is really good for your liver. Just a ton of things, and I felt great.
Hmm.
I 36. I felt great throughout the pregnancy. My mood and my energy has been really good postpartum as well. So whether that's from other things that I have done, really
Hmm.
preparing my body, or just having a really good prenatal on hand.
Wow. With your second pregnancy, did it take you as long to get pregnant or?
So we were actually not trying.
Oh.
We were not trying. We were in Puerto Rico for my stepsister's destination wedding, and he is our little Valentine baby.
Oh, love it. Love it. Perfect little surprise.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about age because I had my third at almost 39. And at
Mhm.
that point, it was like my second, I was 36, already geriatric. Are you seeing in your clients that more women who are on the older side are having infertility issues, or is it something that can happen at any age?
Well, would say that women of an older age, it can be a little bit more difficult because our egg count goes
Hmm.
down. But then also, as we age, if we're not truly taking care of ourselves and nourishing ourselves, egg quality will go down. But I will also say, I'm seeing it in 30-year-olds, even some people who are in their 20s. And
Hmm.
I think a lot of it comes down to the type of food that we have available in America these
Yeah.
days. It's just like food quality has gone down. Even if you're buying organic, the soil is just not what it used to
Hmm.
be. And a lot of people, they don't have the education or the information in terms of how to best source their food. And it's really, really unfortunate. So, and also it's kind of like an affordability thing too. Like
Oh, for sure.
groceries now are
Right.
just expensive, and then if you want to buy higher quality, you're paying for that. You know,
Hmm. The
you're
organic
definitely
chicken versus the regular grocery store chicken, there's a definite difference. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. You almost have to get like a second job or something just so you can like source organic. So I'm seeing it in younger ladies as well, even women who are in their 20s or early 30s who are having premature ovarian insufficiency. So basically, like their lab values are equivalent to like a 45-year-old.
Oh,
It
wow.
like it looks as if they have no egg reserve left, and it's like, why is this happening?
Hmm.
This shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely as we age, it can be a little bit trickier, but
Hmm.
I have I have seen and helped my clients in their 40s get pregnant. And honestly, it happened within a couple of months
Wow.
after just making a few changes.
Okay, stress is a big one that causes infertility, but when you are trying to conceive and just living in today's society, telling someone don't stress is really
Hmm.
hard. What are some
Yeah.
things that we as women can do to lower our stress levels?
Hmm. So definitely don't tell people not to stress. I think
That like
the
makes me
best,
stress, like, ah.
yeah, that doesn't help anybody. So it's really giving people tools that they can use when stress is coming up for them, ideally to help prevent stress from happening to begin with.
Hmm.
Um, so again, I think it's nutrition is so important because if you are properly nourishing yourself, you are less likely to feel frazzled and to feel
Hmm.
triggered because your blood sugar plays a role. Like if you're hangry and your blood sugar is crashing and you didn't get good sleep, you are like I don't know what the stat is if there even is a stat. You're probably like 20 times more likely to feel triggered and want to
Right.
snap at someone or rip someone's head off. So I think all of those things are just so foundational. Another big thing that I've been having my clients do and I've been doing myself is if you're just drinking water, bottled water, water from your sink, whatever it could be, and also unfiltered water, we want to filter our water, whether you're on city, especially if you're on city and well water, and we want to remineralize our water. So adding like a pinch of high quality sea salt to your water. And that is going, it's like the spark plug to our body, to our nerves. When we're stressed, we're burning through electrolytes, sodium,
Hmm.
potassium, magnesium, all of those things. So this is going to help replenish that. And that's going to actually help with your nerves as well. There's other benefits of taking or like remineralizing your water in terms of if you have a proper mineral status, it's going to displace heavy metals. If you're not properly mineralized, heavy metals can actually go where minerals should be
Oh,
going. So
interesting.
that has been a huge game changer, I think, for myself and my clients. Like I said, we were not trying to get pregnant yet it happened. And I'm 36, right? And it's like, oh, we're told that our fertility falls off a
Right.
cliff when
Going
we're ready to fall.
downhill from there. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Um, so just do, I practice a lot of the things that I teach my fertility clients. Having more children wasn't off the table. It just,
hmm.
we weren't intentionally trying.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
Um, but I support my body in a way because when you're fertile, that is a sign of health, a true sign of
Right.
health and vitality. Obviously, we get to a point in a woman's life where fertility is no longer, but
Hmm.
when you are in that reproductive phase of your life, that's so important. I can't remember what the initial question was. I
That
feel
was
like
it.
I went
How to
on a
deal with
tangent.
stressors and stress.
Yeah,
Um,
and then just tools too, that varies per individual, but having some nervous system calming tools, um, like I taught some to my clients the other week. There's something called havening. So it's just kind of like rubbing your arms from like your shoulders all the way down to your elbows, or you can do all the way down to your wrists. You can put your tongue to the roof of your mouth and hold that there. You can rub like that little bony, that
mm,
round bony spot
by
behind
your
your
ear.
ear. You can rub that.
Huh.
There's so many different things that you can do. So just having different things in your toolbox. Emotional freedom technique that can
Mhm.
take a very activating emotion and help neutralize it. So I just teach my clients a lot of different things. Certain things will feel good to one woman, whereas like something completely different could feel good to another woman. So just regulating your nervous system.
Nice. Okay. Speaking of your clients, can you walk us through? Because when I was trying to conceive, my first thought would be go to my OB-GYN. She'd say, wait till a year. Let's say you wanted
Mhm.
to take a different route and speak to someone like you. What
Mhm.
does like a consultation, what do you go through and talk about in a consultation?
Sure, that's a really great question. So I actually have something called a fertility blueprint quiz, and it's super quick quiz, but it gives so much information. So it looks at the woman's cycle health. So have you had cycle day 3 hormones? So we're looking at LH, FSH, estradiol. That just kind of gives us like a picture of how are things looking. If you have your AMH, that's good, helpful too. Are you tracking your cycle? How are you tracking your cycle? Do you have any premenstrual symptoms? How long is your cycle? We're looking at all of that, and they'll rate themselves red, yellow, or green. Green being everything looks good, yellow being there could be some improvement, red being, okay, this is a red flag, like something to definitely use support. We're looking at metabolism, like how is your energy? Is it hard for you to lose weight? Is it really easy for you to gain weight? Looking at your digestive system, do you have any GI symptoms like constipation, diarrhea, gas? How often are you having bowel movements? That's huge. We're looking at the partner's semen analysis. Have they had one? If they did have one, does it fall within these parameters? And then we're also looking at mindset, like, do you 100% doubt that you can become a parent? How is your mindset? Are you able to live your day-to-day life feeling grateful and complete without needing this thing? Because when we grasp onto needing something to then feel a certain way, that energetically can actually repel the very thing that you
Right.
want. And I have had women tell me before, like, I cannot feel joy until I
Mm,
have a child,
I
which
can
is
totally
heartbreaking.
feel that. Yeah.
But then if you think about it, that's putting a lot of pressure
Hmm.
on yourself, but on that baby too,
Yeah.
to come in. So we look at all those things on the quiz. And if they do have cycle charts, they can share those with me. If they do have other labs, they can share those with me. And then we hop on a free consultation. It's called a free fertility strategy session, both partners, because it takes two to tango and make a baby. And we just kind of go through it, like, tell me about your journey. How have things been going? What have you tried so far? And then I'll kind of look at the information that I have, and I can usually give some ideas of, well, this is definitely looking like it could use improvement. So that's what that would look like.
I love that. Do you have any great success stories that you can share with us? Because that always gives people hope.
I definitely do. So I have three. So one is this couple, they were trying for about 9 years.
Oh
She
my gosh.
definitely, she never had an official PCOS diagnosis, but I would say she very likely had PCOS and also Hashimoto's, which is like an
I
autoimmune
have that.
thyroid
I have
disorder.
that.
Yeah. So that can make conceiving and having the pregnancy remain viable, it can make it
Right. I
difficult.
was always very
And
worried. Like when I got
yeah,
pregnant, the first thing I did, call my endocrinologist, like make sure my
mhm,
numbers are okay. Yeah.
absolutely. And she had done other programs, so she had her doubts.
Mhm.
Would this work? But she really kind of liked me as a person, my energy, like how I take the whole mind, body,
Right.
spirit approach. And she got pregnant in 3 months.
Wow. Is
And
there anything specifically she changed or did that you think might have contributed?
supporting her blood sugar and her
Okay.
nutrition, and really working on stress and mindset as well.
Mhm.
And so she got pregnant within 3 months, had that baby. We started working together again because she wanted to have a second. Again, got pregnant in like 2 to 3 months, basically
Wow.
around the same time of year too. It was like October, November time. Um, and she was able to have full term
Wow.
pregnancies, or, for the most part, healthy pregnancies. And yeah, it was just a couple of tweaks,
Little
really.
tweaks. And it
Um,
doesn't take going through thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of treatment, and it's things that you could just do naturally. I love that.
exactly. Yeah. And otherwise, she was told that, they might need to do IUI or IVF
Mhm.
because she did have irregular cycles and things like that. So, yeah, that's one of my favorites. And then another one is I had a client who had a luteal phase defect. So what that means is you have a shorter luteal phase. So usually like under 10 days. Hers was, even at one point, it was like 7 days long.
So
So
she
like
knew
that,
that coming in, or you helped her figure that out?
yes,
She knew
she
that.
knew that
Okay.
coming in. her doctor wasn't concerned with the length of her luteal phase, which 7, 8, 9 days, that's not long enough for the like implantation to occur. There's a lot of things that have to happen after the sperm and egg meet, and then it has to implant and all of that. And that's why we need like a 12 to 14 day healthy luteal phase. So like there's no way she could get pregnant with something with a luteal phase of that length, but her doctor just didn't, they just didn't know, I guess. I don't know.
I would know. I
Um,
would just listen to my doctor and be like, okay, I
yeah,
would know.
yeah, and she would have if we
Mhm.
weren't working together. So short luteal phase, we really worked on, like I had mentioned earlier, adding in more protein and more fat in her diet, especially like around breakfast time.
Okay.
She was having a more carb heavy breakfast, like
Okay.
dried fruit, oats, things like
Hmm.
that. Not like they have their time and place, but she just wasn't getting, our hormones, the backbone of our hormones is cholesterol. So like we need fat in our
Hmm.
diet. Otherwise we cannot make hormones. And we started working on that. We definitely worked on her mindset. She even made a choice that she was like, I never would have done this before, but it just felt right. She listened to her intuition. She quit her job and got a new job. And I think energetically, that just creates
New
like a
beginning.
pocket of space to
Hmm.
bring in baby. And it also just
Oh.
felt really good to her body, even though she was like, I typically wouldn't do something like this, but I feel secure and confident in making this decision,
Hmm.
which I think being connected to your intuition in that way is super important. And I can tell you, once I got off of birth control, I became so much more connected to my own intuition as an individual. So, and then she conceived in about 2 or 3 cycles. And the
Wow.
crazy part with her, she was tracking her cycle with one of those hormone tests at home.
Okay.
It told her, you didn't ovulate this cycle. Stop testing, or you can stop testing. And she got a positive pregnancy test. And I was concerned. I was concerned for her because I was just like, this is interesting. How did this
Right.
happen? Are your
Let's not get our hopes up
hormones,
yet.
yeah, are your hormones going to be able to sustain this pregnancy? She ended up having a healthy baby girl. So,
Wow.
like, her story, it's like, this doesn't even logically make sense,
Hmm.
but it happened.
Mm.
And she was able to get pregnant. And my third one is a couple. This was more so a male factor infertility. We tested his sperm, it said zero.
Wow.
Zero viable sperm came back.
That can't be good.
Um, no, did a whole, intake process. He was on a medication that there have been a lot of studies that show this medication can impair sperm health and sperm quality. He went to his doctor because I can't prescribe,
Hmm.
and I can't tell him to stop taking anything. You
Right.
have to take that up with your doctor. His doctor told him it's fine. That medication doesn't do that. Whereas if you do a simple Google search, you can find all these studies
Studies that show.
that say. So he was basically gaslighted by his doctor, but his doctor entertained his request and he got onto a different medication. And of course, we did supplements, diet, lifestyle, and his sperm health slowly started improving. It was like 2 million on the next test, and then like almost 7 million on the next test. And then I'm like, all right, we need to dive in a little bit deeper here to see what's potentially going on. So they had a consultation with a urologist. The urologist told them that all the supplements he's been taking is for nothing and that they're not, it doesn't do anything. And I'm like, well, I mean, he went from zero to like
Right.
more than that. So I disagree. They found he had a varicocele, which is basically like an inflamed blood vessel on the scrotum. So what that can do is it can increase heat
Mm.
and that can essentially kill the
Yeah.
sperm. And they were kind of pushing that they still do IUI or IVF.
Hmm.
And I said, well, you can have a surgery to help repair that. And it's not, I can't really say it's non-invasive, but it's not like this crazy
Right.
surgery that's going to take you out for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
They did the surgery because I'm like, listen,
Try that
I think
first.
that let's try this before you invest in IVF and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It should take at least 3 months, 3 to 4 months, sometimes even 6 for the sperm to really regenerate after having that surgery. They were pregnant in 2 months
Oh my
after the
gosh.
surgery. Yeah.
Wow. And it's
So,
just so nice knowing like the root cause. So you're not like, there's something wrong with me. I'm faulty. It's like, oh, I just need
yeah.
to tweak this and this could work.
And I think about them and their specific scenario, and it's like, had we not been working together, there were so many places in their journey, especially in the beginning. Like if they did a semen analysis with their doctor, they'd be like, you need a sperm donor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need a sperm donor because his
This isn't
doctor
going to
was like,
happen.
that medication is fine. You can take that medication,
Mhm.
when that actually was not the truth. And then I don't even think that they mentioned the varicose-colectomy, the surgery to repair that. I think it was like, oh, let's go do these other things first.
Mhm.
So if they didn't have that support to help inform them, at least of their choices,
Right. They
do
didn't
what
have
feels
to go
good to
that route,
you.
but they could.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. So just being informed of your options, and then you can make the choice that feels best for you.
Hmm.
So, and it kills me because I know that it happens to so many people
So many, so many.
in that way.
Okay. I know you have your baby to get back to, so I don't want to take your time too much longer.
You're fine. My
But
boobs haven't started leaking yet, so I'm doing
you're
good.
good. You're good to go. Where can people find more about you? And also, you have a podcast. Tell us a little bit more about where people can find you, your podcast, and all that.
Yeah, so my podcast is Finally Get Pregnant Naturally, and it's really all based off of helping people find the root cause of what is going on. Whether you want to go on and do IVF or not, I say that doing this work, whether you want to try naturally or you want to do fertility treatments, it is going to increase your outcomes of getting pregnant. But not only getting pregnant, having a healthy pregnancy,
Hmm.
having a healthy birth, having a healthy postpartum. I think when people ask me, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And when I tell them I'm doing great, it's almost like they don't expect that answer. But when you do this work in the preconception phase, you are going into pregnancy fully nourished in that overflow of nourishment instead of going into pregnancy depleted. When you're pregnant, your body will take from your stores and give to the
Hmm.
baby. And
Oh, I
then
felt that.
you will be in a postpartum phase where you're just like
Ah.
you're surviving, you're trying to survive
Hmm.
instead of thriving. And even like this postpartum period compared to my other one wasn't bad, but I just feel in a better place. And I'm like 7 years older than I was. I like had my daughter right before I turned 30, and I'm like 36 and a half having my son, and I feel really, really good. Um, so I forget where I was going with that. Oh, the podcast. So that's a lot of the things that we talk about on there. And then, of course, you can find me on Instagram at the underscore wellness underscore pharmacist. That's where I talk to so many people in my DMs and just kind of provide someone to talk to, a place to vent and just share your story. I will give my best attempt at like giving you my thoughts on what could be going on or like anything that you could potentially improve. And of course, my website, happynourishedmotherhood.com. You can find lots of free resources on there, a way to contact me. Yeah, and I just really appreciate you having me on and having this conversation.
I love it. I love because I think this is something people don't talk about. I mean, all these like acronyms you threw out and temperature and this, I'm like, I didn't know any of that. And I don't think anyone really talks about that. So knowing that there is someone out there that could help with natural solutions to this is so important. So
Yeah,
really appreciate you coming on.
thank you so much.
Big thanks to Katie for sharing her story and her wisdom today. I know so many women listening are going to feel seen and validated and a little more hopeful after hearing this podcast episode. If you connected with Katie, please make sure to share this, look her up, get her coaching and the resources she offers, especially if you're navigating your own fertility journey and want support that actually looks at the whole you and not just lab results. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me on the Burnt Pancakes podcast. If this episode spoke to you or you know someone who could get something from it, please make sure to send it to them. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss next week's conversation. And until next week, I want to remind you that everyone burns their first pancake, so just keep flipping.